Hey guys, welcome back to this video. So now in this particular video, we are going to learn about Excel automation. We are almost everywhere when you would go as an RB developer, you would find that the input is present in your Excel file. You need to do some kind of processing over it, probably getting data from the file and uploading it to some website, then processing some things over there, and again fetching the output back to the Excel. Such kind of scenarios are which are automated. More examples would be like an email automation. You have got an name and email address given in the Excel file, and you are asked that you want to send email to each of the candidates. So that is also a kind of example for Excel automation. So in this video, we are going to explore a little bit about what we can do using automation 360. So let's start. So in the previous video, we have learned about variables. We use number and string variables. Now this time we are going to use another data type called data table. So I will just click on type and choose table here like a spreadsheet. So let's give it a name. Let's say DT1. Now we can either add the data manually to this or using any kind of actions. So for this particular the video, we are going to edit a table manually. Let's say I want to use this data table variable to create headers for a new spreadsheet. So my table will have two columns. One is the name, or I would say first number. Then I want another column. So for that, I will click on update, then add second number, and let's add one more column, update summation. Okay, so that's it. The DT1 is complete. Now we'll just click on create. So that is one variable created. Now I want to store this data inside a spreadsheet on my desktop. So for that, I will search over here for write. So I have got one action called write to file. If I just drag it over here, I can see that it creates me an extension with CSV or TXT file. But what I want is an Excel file. So this particular action is not usable to me. So let's delete it. Next, what I'm going to check is Excel Advanced. So it also says write from data table. And this action also works with XLSX file. So I can use this to work on Excel. Now let's see what we can do, how we can use the Excel Advanced command. If I search for Excel, over here you would see that there are three type of Excel actions available: Advanced, Basic, and Office 365. Advanced is generally used when you want to perform multiple actions which are very complex or complicated generally. And for that, you need Microsoft Office Excel installed in your system. That is the mandatory requirement. For Excel Basic, you don't need Excel to be installed in your system. You can use it as it is. And for Office 365 Excel, that is something for which you need your Microsoft Azure account and create API keys to use. So we are going to use Excel Advanced for now. For that, first of all, I need to create the workbook in which I want to store that data. So what I can do, let's search for Excel Advanced, what commands are available with us. We want to create a workbook. So I can use a command called create workbook command, most probably. Yeah, here. So let's drag it. And then what if we want to just write that data into a workbook? That was write to data from data table. So let's drag it over also. So if we see this Excel Advanced command, it just asks me for a data table variable and the cell. So it is not asking that where I want to save that file. So for that, we are going to use this create workbook command, give a path to the file. Now there are two ways to give the path. First, you go to your desktop, select the path, what is your desktop path or folder path, and then paste it over here. Or you click on browse and select the file path. For this, you will need a file to already exist. Okay, but what we are going to do, we are going to use the system variables. Press F2, then over here search for user and choose user's home directory. Then I want the path to my desktop, so I will use slash desktop, then slash, and now I want to give a file name. So let's say new file.xlsx. Then I want to give a sheet name, let's say sheet 1. And over here in create Excel session, either I can create a variable, or I would use local session. That's the most preferable one according to me. So you can use a variable or local session. The use of these sessions is if you're working on multiple Excels all together in a single bot, then this session variable, this session value will define that which activity is belongs to which workbook activity. Like if there are two Excel advanced write from data table activity, first activity has to work on A Excel and the second activity has to work on B Excel. This is denoted by through the Excel session. So first activity is complete. By this way our workbook will be created. Now we have to open this Excel. So I will search for open command in the Excel advanced only and click on open. Now it's also asking me for the path. So let's just go over to this action, copy it and paste over here as a desktop file. This control room file refers to any file which is uploaded to your automation 360 tool itself, and desktop file is when it is on your system. Now our sheet contains headers and we don't want to write the specific sheet name. Now it's asking me for a Excel session, so what I would say, I would just give it default. Then let's come over here. It's asking for a data table. Let's select DT1. And for now, like since our Excel is empty at the initial stage, so let's remove the sheet contains header. Now Excel advanced, we are going to choose the active sheet and the first cell to be A1. Now I will just close this Excel. And I'm also applying the save the changes. So what we have done, we have created a workbook, then we have opened that workbook and we have checked that it does not contain any header because currently our workbook would be empty. Now we are adding the data using Excel advanced right from data table activity, and then we are closing the file. So this way our file would be created with the required headers. Now one important thing to notice, that whenever you create a certain set of activities, you should use step activity as well to maintain your code, so that your code is working in a good, it looks good, you can manage it very easily when your bot expands to a scales to a good level. So I am going to drag all these activities inside this tab and give it a name, create new workbook. Okay, now this process is only required when the workbook does not exist. Okay, so now since it is collapsed into a single step, I can easily utilize this activity. I will use an if condition. Let's check if. Now here this if condition is used to change flow of your bot. If certain condition is true, do X. If the condition is false, do Y. Okay, so now I want to check if that file exists or not. If that file does not exist, then only this tab would mean to do something. So over here in after scrolling, you'd find certain conditions regards to file. So here is the condition that it wants. If file does not exist, then the file path, I will just paste the one that we had set in the below activity, and let's say to wait for 2 seconds. So if this condition is true, then follow this step. So now I will save it and run the bot. By the way, guys, if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please like, share, and subscribe my channel for more videos. And do comment your views, your requirements, or what if whatever is there you want to learn with regards to automation. It could be for automation anywhere or UiPath or any other tool. So our bot has started to process. It has opened the Excel. Let's just close it. So it says default as it already exists. Okay, close. So there is some error in our bot. Let's check. Excel advanced. This requires bot agent. So it says that I cannot utilize the same session. So I will just give it name 1 and then again try to run the bot. Now what will happen? Since the file is existing over here, I don't think bot will run. So I will delete it. So the bot has started. It has created the file. Now processing it. And it says your bot has run successfully. Let's verify. So here is the new file. And yes, it contains the headers that we required. First number, second number, and summation. Great. Now the next step is, first we have created that if the file won't exist, then only the bot will create a file. Now I want to add a certain set of data to it. So okay, so what I can do, I will write it in a way like I will create another data table. Let's say dd2 type table, and then we will add, let's say, 3 rows and 2 columns. Let's write it over here as 2, simple value as 2. Update it. 3, 5, 5, 1, and another way. I want to write these values in my Excel, in the Excel that we have created. And what I want is, then we will start iterating over it. What else we could have done? Something better would have been if we just add this particular into this data sheet only. That would be far more better. So let's just update this with more values. So let's say 2, 5, 3, 1, 7, 2. So I have added some values. Now one thing we can do, we can delete the data table manually, the Excel sheet which is available, or we can also make the bot to delete that. For now, what will happen, instead of just adding the headers when the bot will be executed, it will add the data as well. Now this time, now what we want next is that bot should read that data and do the summation for it. So for that, I'm going to use another step, as it is the next part of the process. Let's say do the summation or addition. Okay, next I want to open that file, so I will again use, this time let's use the basic Excel. Let's see if we can do our work with that only. So to check if the required commands are there in the Excel basic or not, I will simply write Excel basic. What we would need is to set a particular cell value so that we can do through this. So what we are going to do is use Excel basic command. Then we are going to open our file using this. Now our sheet contains some headers, yes, and the session name, let's call it Excel basic. Okay, now if since we want to iterate on each row, for that we will use a loop command. So in Automation Anywhere, you have got loop command which contains different kind of iterators. You can utilize all together using a single command. So within this loop, again, I will just scroll down to the Excel basic and use for each row in worksheet. Now I want to loop through all the rows. The session name, yes, it's Excel basic, and I want to create a record. So record basically a variable which will represent a particular row, the current one on which bot is processing. We have named it as Excel row for now. Clicking somewhere. Now what we need to do, we need to add the first value and the second value. Now these two values would be in the type of string. So we need to first convert them and save them into a number variable. So let's create two more variables for that. Number one, giving as number, create, and number two, this also of type number, and one more variable which would be the sum of numbers, type number. Okay, so now since we want to convert the string value into a number, what we are going to use, we use assign value of string. Let me check. There is a function called string to number. In string we can check to number. This action would be utilized by us to convert a string to a number. So our string would be, you can press F2, choose the Excel row variable. Now either you can give the index or the name of your column. So I will give index as 0. 0 means we are referring to the A column. Insert this value, I want to insert to the number 1. Again I will copy it. Now another way to add the variable is use enter a $sign, then the prompt will come. You can just select Excel row and add square bracket 1. So 1 is referring to the column number 2, that is B column. Okay, now we have got the two variables. Now as you have seen, you utilize in the last video, just search for the calc expression and use it over here. Then we need to write number 1, it is number 1 plus number 2, and we are going to save it into the sum of numbers. And since we want to write it back to the Excel, so again, since we are currently working with the Excel basic package, we are going to choose one of its values, that is set cell. Set cell is used to enter value to a particular cell. So either I can add it to an active cell or a specific cell. I know that the value would be entered into the C row, okay, C column, but I also need some kind of iterator so that it knows C1, C2 on which row I have to add it. So what we are going to do, we are going to create our own iterator for this. Let's click on plus, creating a variable. I will type integer or basically number, and let's call it counter variable. By default the value of the counter is 0, so I want that before the loop its value should be set to 1. So I am using an assign action from the number panel. Assign is used to assign a specific value to a particular number variable. So I am going to give it as 1 and then increment to counter. So right now my counter value would be equals to 1. That is, if I now add it over here into this Excel basic set cell command, it would seem like C, then dollar. Right now it is not showing the variable which I want. So let's scroll down a little bit more. So it's over here counter, but since it is showing that invalid expression because it is red color, so that is because we want to convert it into a string. So for the dot number to string, now it is correct. Now the value that we want to set is again dollar sum of numbers. This is of our number type that we want to convert to string, so same pattern, number to string. And this session name should be Excel basic. So let's get it, Excel basic. Over here you can use a variable also instead of the session name. Now still, if there is a counter that is one value, the loop will iterate, its value will remain one because we have not manipulated that yet. And the first time when the bot enters the value, we want to write it into the C2 cell. Why C2? Okay, Excel is not there. So basically the first row would be header, and so the bot should start entering the data from the second row. So I am going to use an increment action. Increment means if you want to increase the value by a single number or in particular set of numbers. So over here, let's just give our value to the counter and assign it back to the counter. Now at first round it should be 2, so it should enter the value to the C2, then C3, then C4, and the work of the loop would be done as soon as the rows are complete. Then to save the data, we will simply use close command of the Excel basic only and save changes when closing the file. So this way the addition would be done. Now let's test if the bot is working or not. Always it makes sure that whenever you develop a bot, develop it in such separate parts so that you can test each part while you're developing instead of developing the whole bot and then starting the testing. Because if you do the post activity, that is you develop complete bot and do the testing, then it would be very difficult to debug the where the issue is occurring. But if you develop small components and test each component before integrating with the rest, it would be very easy to understand that what is going wrong and how to automate that properly. So bot has run successfully. Now it's time to verify that whether it was complete or not. So I will just open the Excel. So as you can see on the screen, the bot has successfully done its work. It has created the Excel with the required values and has done the summation for that 2 plus 1, 3, 12 and 5. Cool. So that's all guys for this demo. We are going to learn more about Excel automation and more different kinds of automation that are present in the Automation 360. Hope you like this video. Please do like, share and subscribe to my channel because it motivates me to create more content. And if there is any particular video that you would want on my channel, do reach out to me. You can connect to me on LinkedIn or Gmail. See you guys in the next video.